Well, hello, sports fans. It's your favorite program of the week, Socialing the Distance. This week, we're featuring Scottish sprinter, Team GBR Olympic member, Beth Dobbin. Beth, great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
And you're in lovely Loughborough. I think I've been there for a couple meets, and I remember that's where George Gandy, the late George Gandy, was for a long time. I met him back in like 1979 when he came to do a tour of the U.S. So, and I knew him through Wendy Sly and Ian Stewart and that whole crew. So, who are you coached by?
I'm coached by Leon Baptiste. I've been coached by Leon for 9 years now. So, yeah, former athlete himself.
Yep.
I was actually his first athlete, and I'm still going strong in the group. So,
wow, that's cool. Yeah, I saw off Instagram that you set a PB with him each year in the 200 meters. Yes.
Yeah. Every year I've raced, I've set a PB with him.
Wow. And then you ran your 100 PB?
Yes. Yeah. So that was last Monday, the bank holiday Monday. It was bittersweet because the meet I went to is known for some really quick times. So I went there thinking, it's going to be good conditions, hopefully run a good time. And the conditions weren't great. It was really cold, a bit of a crosswind, which isn't ideal for the 100, but I still managed to PB, but it's gave me a lot of confidence because I think if I can run that in those conditions, I know I'm definitely in better shape. So hopefully do another before the season's out and get a quicker time.
What's your PB at the 100 right now?
So that was 11:46 that I ran there, but I definitely think I'm capable of a lot more than that with the conditions. So yeah, I think I've got one more before the season is out, so I'll run it there.
Now in Zurich, will you run the 100 or will you do the 2?
I'll be doing the 200 in Zurich, so that's my stronger event out of the 2. And yeah, I've qualified for the final, so yeah, I'm really excited for that. It should be a really good competition.
So I remember way back in June and July of 2018, you broke Sandra Whitaker's 1984 Scottish record 4 times.
Yeah.
What was that like? Because that was such an iconic time.
Yeah, it was kind of very unexpected, actually. The first time I did it, I really, really, really shocked myself. I thought if I ever went sub 23, it would be like a 22.99. And then I broke it for the first time and went 22.84. And I just, even to this day, I still pinch myself thinking back that I did that. And then because of that, I got an invite to my first ever Diamond League. And then I was kind of on the start line thinking, I hope last weekend wasn't a fluke, because you just never know in athletics if you've got some kind of good conditions, a bit of a dodgy track. It could have been a fluke. But yeah, I then backed it up and went 100th quicker. So I thought, wow, this is actually where I'm at now. And then went to the British Championships and broke it again in the heats, easing down, and then significantly broke it again in the final to secure my place on the plane to Berlin and become British champion. So yeah, it was a very memorable year for me, 2018.
Talk to me about when you found out that the Olympics was going to be postponed. You said that was really challenging for you.
Yeah, I found the postponement of the Olympics really, really difficult. And I think it's because for most of my athletics career, I didn't think I would ever be good enough to go to an Olympics, especially not as an individual event, potentially maybe in the relay, but I never thought I would go as an individual athlete. So then when I started to make teams in 2018, that is really all I've ever thought about since, just keep going, get to the Olympics. And then when it got postponed, it was kind of a feeling of what are the chances? This never, ever, ever has happened in many, many years. It was just unbelievable. And it was even more frustrating that my training had gone really, really well that year. The year before, I'd suffered with quite a few injuries, whereas that year I'd had no injuries, was running PBs in training. So it just felt just so frustrating that was happening. And it kind of still has frustrated me this year because I went into the winter my winter training with a hamstring injury. So all this year, I've just been a bit frustrated and a bit angry, you know, thinking, I wish it was last year. I wish it was last year. This year, my training hasn't gone as well. And last year, it went really well. So it has been very frustrating, but I'm glad that I've stuck at it. I still do feel a bit disheartened that it hadn't happened the year before, because I feel like I would have been in better shape the year before, but I've still made it. I've still made it to the Olympics, and Paris is only 3 years away. So I know I'll get another shot at the Olympics then.
Do you know you have made the relay squads in the 4x1?
Yes, I'm part of that now.
Okay. What is that like?
Yeah, so that is so much fun. I really enjoy that. So when I burst onto the scene in 2018, I was initially kind of pushed towards maybe the 4x4 because of the way I run the two. I finished really strong at the end, and I think they saw potential in me over the 4. And I also, because I've never made a junior team, I didn't really have the baton skills for the 4x1. But this year we've got some new coaches that have came in, and they've actually said, well, no, with your speed, we could actually use you in the 4x1. So I've been a part of it this year. I'm not going to lie, the first 2 I did were so nerve-wracking. I did enjoy it. It was so much stress and just it's so intense. But then when I got out to Tokyo, the practices started going really well, and I just started to really enjoy it. And it's a big adrenaline rush. You know, it happens so quick. It is. I mean, it looks hard, but it's even harder than it looks. But I feel a lot more confident with the relay things now. It's a lot more normal for me. Whereas when I first started, it was, I wasn't the best. I'm not going to lie. So yeah, I'm definitely, my confidence has grown with it for sure.
Now, you've done the qualifying rounds in the 4x1, and did you also do the final?
No, so I didn't run in Tokyo. They ran the same team for the heat and the final. I wasn't really expecting to run. I was okay with not running because the girls have got a lot more experience than me with the relay. But when I was there, I kind of remembered how I felt not being selected. And I just kind of thought to myself, I really want to be part of this in Paris in 2024. So it's kind of gave me that extra bit of motivation to be part of the Strike 4, because the girls are so well drilled. And like I said, my practices went really well out there. So I definitely think that, with a bit more practice and my speed, I'll hopefully be a part of the Strike 4 in the future.
Talk to me about the difference in running the 100 and the 200.
Yeah, so I definitely prefer the 2, just because my speed endurance is definitely my strength. I might not get up to as quick a speeds as some of the 100-meter girls, but I'm very good at holding that speed. And I can often beat girls that can run a lot quicker than me over the 100, but I'll beat them quite significantly over the 2. I think it's just the training that I do is I think naturally I can finish really strong anyway, but the training that me and my coach do, it's very much tailored towards being a strength-based athlete and being really strong. We did actually speak today about the 2022 season already. We do speak about, what my goals are. We speak about that a lot. And I said that I do want to be quicker over the 1, because I think with a bit more speed and my already speed endurance, that'll help me a lot over my 200s.
The one of the things that separates Team GB from the way they do it over and across the pond is that you guys have training camps. And I remember Stuart asking Dina Asher Smith, do you guys practice the baton? And she said, yeah, I've probably done it about 200 times this year. And do you guys have camps, or how does the women's team do that?
Yeah, we have a lot of camps. Obviously, it's very new to me this year. So I've done 2 camps this year, and then several competitions. And then obviously we had some practices out in Tokyo. But yeah, the girls are so well drilled. They do practice a lot. And obviously going into next year, I will be part of that squad. So we will be practicing a lot. Obviously, it's quite tricky if, some athletes are based in the States. and some athletes are based all over the country, so it is hard to get us all together, but we do practice a lot. I think that's kind of why they've done so well, because we get together and practice, and there's really good chemistry between all of us as well. We all get on really well, and they're lovely girls, and they've really looked after me this year. With being so new onto the team, they've really looked after me.
How many Diamond League events did you do this year?
I've done quite a few this year. How many have I done? I've done Stockholm, Gateshead, Rome, but that moved to Florence. So I've done 3, and that's managed points for the final in Zurich. So I think the only ones I haven't done is Eugene and Brussels tonight, but I've done every other one. So yeah, it's been a good experience for me, because before this year I'd done Diamond Leagues, but they've always been, the B100 or the B200 or the pre-program stuff, whereas this year I've been in the actual Diamond League races, so that has been just a great experience for me.
Talk to me about now, we've all competed in small meets where there's not much of a crowd, so I mean that's part of the story of track and field, but the last year and a half has been without fans. Have you had any meets this year where you've had actual fans at?
There have been a couple at Gates had some, but there's that few fans that it can almost feel quite empty still. I think in Florence there was some fans as well, and Stockholm actually had some. So it's not been completely empty, but you can see they're definitely running at a reduced capacity. And Tokyo obviously had no fans there, but I'm really hoping that going into next year, when everything's back to normal, it might feel even more special and even more, a bit more of a buzz around the fans, because sometimes when you step out into a big stadium, I'm not saying you get used to it, but it's almost expected. And then when that gets taken away from you, I feel like when it's brought back, we'll almost appreciate it more. And so, yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. We've got 3 big champs in 2022, and I hope they've got 3 packed out stadiums, because I've missed that so much.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about, why do you think you're good at the 200?
I think I'm good at the 200s because, okay, this is going to sound so weird, but when I was younger, I was a very late bloomer in athletics. So I used to lose all of my races when I was younger. So I think I've got a really, really good ability at staying relaxed under pressure. And I think that's so important for the 200, because the last 50 meters, you're kind of starting to feel it a bit. People are coming up on you, or you might be chasing people. And fortunately for me, I'm very good at staying relaxed when there's people kind of putting pressure on me. And I honestly think that comes from being behind so much as a kid and having to chase. So yeah, I think that helps. I also think the natural speed endurance I've got, that's really helpful. And I think the training my coach sets for me is very much specific to the 200 meters. We do a lot of 100 meter sessions, and we do a few 400 meter sessions as well, actually. But a lot of the main kind of when we get into the season, it is very specific to the 200. And I think that's why I've kind of been so much more successful over the 200 than the 100s, because we just really, really focus on it.
Okay. When you can you tell the difference when you're running a really fast 200 when you're not running a fast 200?
Yeah, I think the key difference for me is you cross the finish line and you can't even remember it, and it feels like an absolute blur. The races that I run best, I'm almost not even aware, and it feels like it's over in like 2 or 3 seconds, when in reality it's 22 seconds. So yeah, the races that don't go as well for me is when I almost feel very conscious about what's going around. So I hear my surroundings and I'm aware, and it feels like I'm very present in that race. So for me, I try and really, really, as hard as I can, to switch off. And they're the races that I do best. So when I cross the finish, you almost know whether it's a good race or not, just on how how aware you felt that race is, because if you're thinking about things, you know, you're not, you might end up tightening up and not, you know, executing the race that you naturally are doing, because everything we're doing out there, it's not really the race that you think about it's the training. You think about the execution then, and then when you come to the race, it should be, you know, second nature. So the best races I have are definitely the ones where it has been second nature. I've been able to switch off and literally just run.
What about the 400? What do you think of the 400?
Yeah, I have done a couple of 400s in 2018. My coach just shoved me in one day. I'd not done really any training for it at all, and I surprised myself with how I ran. And then I did another and surprised myself again. And I definitely think, especially with some of the traits that I show in the 200s in terms of finishing strong, I definitely think I show promise at being a good 400 meter runner, in the future. And you see a lot of athletes that can kind of do both. Alison Felix, over here we've had Anika and Nora. So it's definitely something I want to do in the future. But I would like to get as much speed as I possibly can in the 2 this year. And then it might be something I look at moving up in the future. But I'm definitely going to do some indoors, because that might just break up this kind of long year we've got ahead of us. So I think you might see me doing some 4s indoors this year.
Cool. Well, I know I've teased Jodie Williams a little bit about her moving up to the 400, because for such a long time she done the 20. She wouldn't admit in an interview that she liked the 400, you know. And I used to do that with Alison Felix. I'd ask Alison when she was going to do the 400 hurdles, and she would just look like, don't even tell Coach, you know, Bobby that, you know. But it seems that athletes, after they've done the 100, they get to a place where they feel they're confident with their speed, and then they move into the 200, and they're confident there. A lot of them try to look at the 400. So I was just curious. Now, so next year we were talking about that. It's going to be a very busy year for you, because you've got is a Euro indoors next year too?
I don't know if there's Euro indoors, but there's definitely a World indoors. I'm not sure.
World indoors, yeah. And then there's the World outdoors in Eugene. Yeah. Then there's the Commonwealth Games, which I went to in 2014, and that was a lot of fun. Yeah. And then the European champs, I got to visit that in 2014 as well, and I really enjoyed that. Will you try to do all 3?
Funny you say this. I was actually speaking to my coach about it today. I keep banging on about the 2022 season, and I know my 2021 season hasn't fully finished yet, but it's definitely in the front of my mind next year, and I am adamant I want to do all 3. And he's been kind of on the fence a bit, and today finally he said, yeah, we're going to have to go for all 3, because it's just such a good opportunity. Obviously the Worlds is the World Championships. Everyone wants to be there. I made the Worlds in 2019, and obviously the Olympics this year, and I've had 2 major global champs where I just made the semi-finals. So I really want to, you know, go there and be able to make the final. But then obviously you've got the Commonwealths and the Europeans, which again, for someone like myself, they're good opportunities for me. I think I'm maybe 5th or something like that in Europe this year. So I'm not far off of, you know, being a kind of chance of a medal at the European. So it's like I don't want to neglect any of them really, because all 3 of them are opportunities, especially with the Commonwealths being in Birmingham, a home games. That's kind of like that added strength and that, you know, extra motivation that we've got a home crowd, because I've never had a home crowd before. I came into international athletics in 2018, the outdoor season, and, you know, missed London 2012, missed London 2017. So for me, this will be my first opportunity to have a home crowd. So all 3 championships are really, really important to me. How we're going to do it, I don't know. I think it will be really tough. Me and my coach have got a couple of ideas we've briefly spoke about, but I think after the Diamond League, we're going to sit down and kind of plan it out and see how we can do this, because I've got my heart set on doing all three.
Oh, sure. Would we see you? Have you done the long relay as well?
I have been part of the 4x4 as well. And especially at the Commonwealth, I think that's something I will be involved in, because we've got quite a strong team. For Scotland, we've got myself, Zoe Clark, and Nicole Jurgen, who are kind of three strong athletes that could do quite well. And we've got a couple of youngsters coming through as well. So I'll definitely be at the longer relay for those.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, did I cut out there?
That's okay. No, it's a problem. Yeah, there was a quick freeze, and sometimes we get that. And normally it's me, and so I got an upgrade on it, and on our server, and got a new one, because my server and my router were from 2008, so it needed a change. Yeah, the guy told me they belonged in a museum, so which keeps. Tell us how you got involved in track and field.
So my dad was a professional footballer, and he had a very similar career to me in terms of he was quite a late bloomer. So he kind of started doing better in his mid-20s and didn't retire till he was 35. And that's kind of the path I've gone down. So when I was growing up, I was surrounded by my dad doing a lot of exercise around the house. He would always be doing circuits in his bedroom, and he used to go for runs on a Sunday. And I started going with him at a really young age. It was after I watched Kelly Holmes in Athens. And I started going for runs with my dad, age 9, only just turned 9, and did loads of cross countries at school. Really, really loved it. And then went down to an athletics club. And because I'm quite easygoing, I just got put in a sprints group, tried that out, turned out to be pretty good at it. And then, have stuck at it from there. I've definitely not been, I think, the most talented junior athlete. I didn't, make a junior team. I didn't show much promise, but I have got a very, very good work ethic. I've got a very, very good attitude to my training. I'm very disciplined. And I feel like that has got me a lot further than I thought I would get in the sport.
Mm-hmm. How big is your training group?
My training group, there's 8 of us at the moment. We typically have about 10, but we did find with COVID, we kind of lost a couple of people in terms of motivation and things like that. There was a couple of athletes that we had that struggled to stay motivated and left the sport. And it has been quite tricky this year to train with my actual training group because of the COVID restrictions. Only elite athletes were allowed on the track. So then, because my group is mixed up of elite athletes and also students, because it's based at the university, and at some points we weren't able to train with the students. But I'm hoping next year we can, because the students are really great. I came through the student system myself, and I just found them to have a really great work ethic. They really want to do well. So hopefully we'll be with them again next year. And I think we've got a few other athletes joining the group next year as well. So hopefully I'll have some more training partners to push me, because it's nice to have a good team environment because with such an individual sport. Now,
in the US, most training is based. There are clubs. There's a lot of really strong youth clubs on the East Coast and the West Coast. And then most American kids do junior high, and then they do American high school, which is 4 years, and they compete in track or in cross country. And then that's about 1.4 million. And then about 200,000 American kids go to, most of them go to college, start perhaps community college. And then, and I'm not sure what the equivalent is in the UK, and then a 4-year. But it's much different in the UK. You are more club-oriented, but now you said you went through kind of a student program. So did you compete at Loughborough as a student?
Yeah, so I moved to Loughborough when I was 18. So it is very similar in terms of you kind of have your high school where you'll be part of a club, and then your college or we sometimes call it sixth form, where you're still part of the same club. And then when you move to university, you can represent your university as well as representing your club. So we are like NCAA's is called Bucks. So I represented Loughborough at Bucks. And I think that the university system is a really good stepping stone for athletes, because it gets you used to that kind of going through the rounds like you would have at a major championships. And you do see that with American athletes. You know, the NCAA's athletes that have came through that system are so robust and strong because they've had to be to get through that system. And ours isn't anywhere that on that kind of scale, but it has definitely helped me in terms of giving me experience racing girls that are quicker than me, older than me, you know, going through the rounds, handling the pressure and the nerves, because Bucks is quite a big deal to us. So yeah, I think it definitely benefits athletes to go through that system.
Cool. Talk to me about indoors. What do you like about running indoors?
So it's funny you say that. So I actually learned how to run the 200 indoors. And so my coach would tell me how he wanted me to run the 200. And I just wasn't listening, because I was a young athlete and I thought I knew best. And I thought that what he was saying was a bad idea. And indoors, we went to do a training session at an indoor track. And he said, just try it for this rep, just try it. And I executed how he told me to execute, which sounds mad. You should always listen to your coach. But I didn't like the thought of like easing off not easing off, but letting my foot off the gas on the 200. Whereas he would just say, just have a short breather. And anyway, I did it, and I ran much quicker in training than I ever have before. And then when to competitions, I did, I think 3 or 4 competitions that indoors. And every time I was just running PB after PB. So it actually taught me how I was supposed to run a 200. So I always have a soft spot for the 200. But then the year that I had a big indoor season over the 2s, I actually got a stress fracture in my foot. And I think that was running too many potentially, because the bends, especially in some of the tracks in the UK, they're very, very tight, very, very hard. Yeah, I think I just overdid it with that. So from then, I've not done 200s indoors, but I do like to dabble with the 400. I've done that a couple of years. And I would like to do some more 60s indoors, I think, just to kind of improve my start and my speed. So yeah, I enjoy indoors because I think it's a nice break from a long year of training. I don't necessarily feel like I have to have a full season or loads of races, but just 1, 2, 3, just to break things up. I hope I'll be able to do some 200s indoors again in the future, because I think I could run a quick one indoors, but yeah, I'll just see how the next few years go.
Have you raced on the NAIA track?
Yes, yeah, I ran there. That's a nice track. We don't have many nice indoor tracks in the UK. I think there's only 3 that I would comfortably run around the bends on, because the rest are just almost like running in a square. But the NIA is a really, really nice track, but it's not there all the time. It's one of them ones that you have to put up and down.
Yeah, sure.
But it's quite bouncy, so a lot of us athletes like it.
Yeah, when I would go, the years I would go, I recall an interesting double, a 60-200 double that a lot of people were doing. Do you do 300s in the UK?
We don't have them at many races, but it is a distance I do a lot in training. A lot of my reps are 300s, and I would like to run a race. I would love to run a 300s, because I think I'd run a really good one. I think that would probably, if I had to pick an event, my event would be the 300s. I would love to come to the meet in Boston that does 300s. There's been a couple of years where I've been supposed to be going, and then something's happened, a niggle or something, and I've had to pull out. So yeah, that is definitely on one of my to-do lists, to do a indoors 300. And I know a lot of the American girls, they really go for it. So that would really pull me to a quick time, I think. So fingers crossed I'll be in Boston one day.
Yeah, you'd like I've been to every New Balance indoor but one since 1990. 6, and the 300 is really fun. And the nice thing about that track, they get about 5,000 people in there, and it's loud. It's very loud. So it keeps. Have you raced in the US?
I've never raced in the US ever, which is mad. Obviously, I'm really hoping to be there for Eugene. I've always wanted to go, kind of April time. A lot of Brits go in April time and have an early season. But when I will do that, I don't know. You always say you're going to do things as athletes, but the amount of things that kind of get thrown in your way that you think, I can't do that. I've got a niggle. I had a niggle this April. So it's just such an unpredictable sport. But I really, really have had my eyes on the Boston meet for a couple of years now. So yeah, I would like to get a lane in that 300 for sure. So hopefully you'll see me there. If not this year, the year after.
Awesome. Now, when you'll end your season after Zurich, correct?
Most likely. I have got one more planned where I'll be doing 100 and a 200. But I've not had my confirmation of flights yet for that. But it'll either be Zurich or one more in Bellinzona.
Nice.
Yeah, so just waiting for confirmation on that. But yeah, most likely Bellinzona. But yeah, I think I've got 2 races there, so it'll be the 100 and the 2, and I'm quite keen to do another 100 because, like I said, the conditions weren't great for my 100 that I've just done, so I would like the opportunity to run something a bit quicker.
Do you like racing the small meets in Italy at the end of the season?
Yeah, this is the first time I've actually done it because my first year that I burst onto the scene was 2018. And obviously I didn't think I was even going to Berlin. So I'd actually booked a holiday for August. So I didn't go, I didn't have that professional experience. And then 2019, obviously the Worlds weren't till October. So we were all peaking for that. 2020 was a write-off for me with COVID. So this is the first year where I feel like I've really been on the circuit. I feel like a professional athlete, and I've really, really, really enjoyed it. We train so much. We put in so much effort throughout the winter. So for me, it's like, why not be able to train it? Be able to race. That's what we train for. So yeah, I really enjoy racing. I enjoy getting to travel to the meets. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I've definitely enjoyed that side of it this year.
Does your family get to see you race?
Yeah, my family, especially as I was growing up, they would come to every single competition that I did in the UK. They would travel here, there and everywhere. When I go abroad, it's obviously a bit trickier for them. They did come to Berlin and they did come to Doha. They weren't ever going to come to Tokyo because they priced up the tickets and it was ridiculously expensive. So that was never in the plans, but I think they would love to come to Eugene next year. That my mum's got a friend that lives in America, so I think they would try and stay with him. And yeah, they'll definitely be in Birmingham and anywhere in Europe where it's a major chance. I think they'll go. My family is so supportive of me. They're so proud because they know the journey that I've been on, and they know probably that this was maybe never expected to happen for me, and I've just worked really hard to make it happen. So they really enjoy it, and they're really, really supportive of me.
So I noticed when on Instagram you were apologizing to your fans because you said you only have one look or one kind of stance in your photos. Yeah. Do you enjoy doing social media?
I actually do. This is the first year that I've really enjoyed doing it. I think other years I've thought, I don't know what to post, I don't know what to say. But this year I've really enjoyed it because I think I've just been a bit more myself. So I might be a cringy pose, but that's me being myself. And I think I've learned this year that you don't necessarily have to do it how someone else does it. If you do it how you do it and you're authentic to who you are, that's all you can do. So I've done that a lot more this year, and I've really, really enjoyed that. But yeah, I think it is a weird one sometimes because when you're in season, there's things to post about. I've just been in this Diamond League, I've just gone to the Olympics, there's things to post about. Whereas when you're the cold, especially in this country, the cold, hard months of the winter training that we do, there's not always that much positive stuff to post about. So I think it is hard to keep kind of fans engaged and things like that. But it's definitely something I'm going to work a bit more at this year, because I think it is an important side of it. Whether you like it or not, it is becoming an important side of the sport. And it's good for, you know, publicity, and I'm very passionate about growing the sport. I think athletics is the best sport, hands down. I'm so passionate about it. I love it. I'm a big fan of it. So yeah, I want the sport to grow, and if that means us as athletes promoting ourselves, then I think we've got to do our part with that.
If you were not a sprinter, what event in athletics would you like to do?
I love the multi-events, the heptathlon. I think it's an amazing event. The kind of chemistry between the girls and how much they all get on and they go through things together is just amazing. You know, to do 7 events, I love a challenge, so I think I would absolutely love that. And my idol growing up was Jess Ennis.
Sure.
Watching her at 2012 was just like, I still can't watch Super Saturday without getting a tear in my eye. It really, really moved the whole nation. So yeah, for me, she is like my favourite sports person. Her and Alison Felix are my 2 favourite sport women. So yeah, I would love to give the heptathlon a go. I think it's quite brutal on the body, but yeah, it's a lot to me.
Yeah, I got to meet Jess in 11 with her mom over in Daegu, and it was very, very interesting because, you know, at the time she was competing against someone who ended up getting caught for doping, and she has always handled herself with a lot of class. And the same thing with Allison. I would travel with Allison and her brother. We'd always meet at the Doha meet. We'd fly in on the same flight because I was coming from the West Coast, and we'd get a little time to catch up, you know. And it's the travel part of your sport is got to be, you got to have the right attitude about it. You enjoy the traveling?
I don't mind it. I've got a lot better at it this year, because sometimes you do feel like you're living out of a suitcase. You know, you're home one minute and there's no point even unpacking some of your things. You go again. I didn't enjoy the travel to Tokyo. It was very, very long. It was 11, 12 hours, and it was a lot of jet lag, but it is so worth it for, you know, the experiences we get. You get to travel to all these different countries and experience that country doing what you love. The people are amazing. So I've definitely got a bit more used to it this year, but it is something that takes getting used to. The first kind of few times that I travel aboard to race, I never really ran very well. I hated it. I found things really different. It took a while to get used to. So I think that's definitely something for younger athletes to bear in mind. The first few times you do it, it might not always be successful because you're having to contend with changes that you're not really used to. But now I'd say, even now at the moment, I find racing in the UK almost weird because I rarely ever do it these days. So yeah, definitely something I've got used to.
Beth, thank you so much for your time. You survived 40 whole minutes with me, and you know, you're still breathing, so I think that's really good. I look forward to meeting you in person. I've seen you at pressers, I believe, but I haven't been, you know, over in the UK since 19 or since since 18, and so I look forward to meeting you in person, and I will make sure Stuart knows that you survived me. And because are you being nice to all my British and Scottish athletes? And just so you know, for the first 2 years that Stuart worked with me, I thought he was Scottish because he lived near the border, and he felt so bad about correcting me. So one time he said, "Mary, I'm not Scottish. I'm, you know," and I said, "I live near that. I can go play golf in Scotland, but no, I'm not Scottish." So, but yeah, so it keeps it fun. But thank you. It's great talking with you. And we will get this. We'll send you a link. Once it'll probably be about a week to 9 days. We do 3 or 4 a week, and then we post 1 or 2 a week. So, but thank you again. Congrats on your Tokyo experience.
Thank you.
and being the Scottish record holder. I think that's totally cool.
Thank you very much.
All right. This is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. This is our program, Socialing the Distance. Today we featured Beth Dobbin. She is a Scottish 200-meter runner, an Olympian for Team GBR, and she survived the 40 whole minutes. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you for chatting to me.
Well, hello, sports fans. This is Larry Eder, and you have been watching your favorite program of the week, Socialing the Distance. And this week we featured Scottish sprinter Beth Dobbin. She is known in the UK for her 200-meter exploits. Came onto the scene in 2018 and broke in June and July, broke Sandra Whitaker's iconic 1984 Scottish national record of 22:98 4 times. Stuart Weir wrote about her then, and we have followed her. She made the 4x1 team for Team GBR in Doha and the 200, and then in lovely Tokyo, she competed at the 200 as well as the 4x1. We just spent 40 minutes chatting with her about the differences in season. Her dad was a footballer in Scotland, and so she started running with him when she was 9 years old on his Sunday runs. And she said his daily circuits in the house really influenced her. And so she has a hard work ethic. Last Monday in the cold of England, she ran a PB of 11:46. She thinks she can run much faster. I have her PB for the 200 at 22:50, and I believe she can run much faster than that. Teased her a little bit about running 400 meters, and she's done a couple of them, and was talking to her about her a couple compatriots who have moved up from the 200 to the 400, and a lot of runners do that. She told us that her big heroines are Jess Ennis and Allison Felix, and those are two worthy athletes to speak highly about. So I think that she's at the really beginning of her elite career, and we should see her for 2024, and we'll see if she competes after that. But it was a lot of fun interviewing her. And Beth, thank you again for your time. And thanks again, as always, to Mike Deering, our production manager, who manages Socialing the Distance and Athletics Chat. And have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.